of setup when you do Japanese tea ceremony. The demonstration you're going to see is what has been westernized for people who can't kneel for long periods of time. The traditional Japanese ceremony is held in a tea house on a tatami mat, and you are in a kneeling position for half an hour, up to an hour, perhaps longer, which for most Westerners, their legs aren't used to it. So we have this setup as a table setup of the Japanese tea ceremony. Japanese tea ceremony originates back in about the 1500s. Tea has been drunk for a long time before that, but as a ritual or as a formal ceremony, it really comes into existence in around 1500 when a Japanese by the name of Senrikyu, who is the sort of originator of this form of tea ceremony, came up with the basic principles and the way to do it. And the main ideas that come into Japanese tea ceremony is simplicity, harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. Now the Japanese tea ceremony, as I said, usually occurs in a tea room that's often quite small, maybe about 6 feet by 6 feet, or smaller sometimes, but it can be done in a larger room. It's usually, or ideally, done in a house that is, a tea house that is separate from a living quarters. And you enter the tea realm, as it were, through a gate that opens you into a garden that is covered with a dewy moss, and you walk through the moss. The dew cleanses you of all sort of everyday problems that you have, and you pass by running water where you can purify yourself and wait for your host to invite you into the tea house. The tea house, you enter through a small portal. It's about 2.5 by 2.5 feet, and that forces everyone to enter in a bowing stance, showing respect for the host and ideally respect for each other and equality of everybody. The tea ceremony was practiced by the samurai warriors as one of the samurai arts, along with ikebana, which is the flower arrangements, and also the various battle skills, because tea was an expensive luxury and only the elites could afford it. So today Kyoko is going to be performing this table tea ceremony, and when you're participating in it, usually it's a quiet thing where you can contemplate, and it's sort of a Zen meditation, but I will be narrating to give you an idea of what's going on.
My name is Kyoko Kosaki, and Kyoko. So we are demonstrating, we call relay table and chair. Enjoy. By the way, anybody like to join us? And the second guest, so gentlemen. So you have anything like
Okay, so she's having a guest. In a tea ceremony, there's usually a primary guest, who is usually the most honorable or senior person in a group, and there can be any number of subsequent guests. So our volunteer will be copying what Kyoko Sensei is doing. When you have tea ceremony, there is the tea, which is ground up green tea. It's the whole leaf, a very high quality leaf, specially grown for Japanese tea ceremony. The whole leaf is ground into a very fine powder, and that's what you're drinking. And there are several equipment that you need to bring along with you when you attend a tea ceremony.
He doesn't supposed to sit before me.
She's the primary guest, so he has to follow her lead. The tea ceremony begins by a greeting, which basically she said, I will be preparing a tea for you today. And she does that holding a fan that you never actually use as a fan, but the writings of Senrikyu are inscribed on the inside of the fan. And everyone attending carries a fan with them instead of a sword. So at the beginning of the tea ceremony, some of the utensils are already in place, others are brought in because some of them hold special value. Some of the utensils may be very old or very sentimental. There is a set prescribed movement to preparing the tea, and it follows, there are various schools of Japanese tea. There are two major groups, Urasenke and Omotesenke. So they bow to each other as respect. And now she is preparing the utensils to be cleaned. The small black container contains the matcha powder, the green tea. She takes out her fukusa, which is a general cleaning cloth. It's something you have for your entire life. You never replace it. And this will be used to clean the utensils before preparing the tea. The tea ceremony you come with sweets and tea, and the sweets balance out the bitter taste that you get from the green tea. This is part of the harmony. She's now ready to prepare cleaning the utensils, which starts by opening the tea kettle. The warm water in the tea kettle has a dual purpose of both cleaning the bowl and also warming the bowl. Japanese matcha tea is not steeped like regular black teas. It has to be whisked. And there's two kinds of teas. There's a thin tea, which is what she's preparing today, and there's a thick tea, and there are different types of whisks for each. With the thin tea, it's a bamboo whisk of 120 tines that have been carefully prepared out of a single piece of bamboo. Now preparing to put the tea in the tea bowl, and she uses a special bamboo scoop. The amount of tea is about the equivalent of a heaping teaspoon. The other container on the table is cold water, in case you need to cool down the tea, and at the end, when you need to do the closing cleanup. Brewing tea is, temperature is important. For green tea, ideal temperature for matcha is somewhere around 60 to 80 degrees Celsius. If it's hotter than that, then you start burning the tea or cooking the tea rather than brewing the tea. And the tea becomes far too bitter. So for green teas, a lower temperature is better. Whisking motion evenly distributes the tea and also produces a froth at the top of the bowl. Once the tea is presented to the principal guest tells the subsequent guest that she will be drinking the tea before you, or excuse me, I'm going to be going first. She will admire the tea bowl and admire the tea preparation on the inside. So she says, "Kekko na o fukugagen de gozaimasu," which means roughly, thank you for the very good tea. tea ceremony can take many different forms depending on the utensils being used. In this case, we're using a high table. In the tea room, there are several smaller designs for tables, and each design requires you to move in different ways. Always thinking of the guest and showing respect for the guest. Tea bowls are called chawan and can be very expensive, up to several tens of thousands of dollars. And they frequently come with a good side or a nice face with a design. And in the style that we practice, Omotesenke Seiha, that design is always presented towards the guest. The flavor of matcha green tea is much stronger than the green tea that you would get in a steeped tea bag. It does take getting used to for some people. It's highly nutritious. As you're getting the entire tea leaf, you're getting all the minerals, all the vitamins that are contained within the tea leaf. So the principal guest has signaled that they don't need any more bowls of tea to be prepared. And so Kyoko, who's doing the tea, said, then I will proceed with my closing arrangements now. Since the tea bowl no longer needs to be warmed up, she's using cold water. She will clean any remnants of the matcha off the whisk, checking. And the whisking motion helps clean the bowl. To her left side, there is a waste container where any of the water that she doesn't use can be poured. She is preparing to clean the tea scoop. setting the tea bowl and the tea caddy back into their original positions. Essentially the reverse of how she brought them in. And then you take cold water and refill the kettle in anticipation of the next time you have tea. Cleaning is complete, she will remove most of the utensils. Closing remarks are thank you for my somewhat incomplete tea preparation, which shows modesty, that you're not boasting about your skills as a tea maker. And that concludes the tea ceremony.